So in your mind, how you raise the vibration in your mind, well, first of all, like I said, meditation and the sacred practice is where we do the bulk of this work, and then after that, that's where we do the concentrated work, and then it unfolds throughout the rest of the moving about in the world. So it is about the beliefs, and when I say beliefs, I mean it as Abraham Hicks states it, the thoughts that you keep thinking. And they become a bit calcified, and so we always want to be re-examining them. One way we could do that is by observing and analyzing the field. And so what's going on in your experience is a reflection of what your thoughts and the repetition of thoughts, aka beliefs, have manifested. And what all of these things, if there is lack in your experience, it is because of you lacking connection with yourself, lacking connection with the heart. And so we can go within and love and heal and connect with that aspect of the self, where the experience of me and who I am become one, and it becomes just the I am. And we put the I am, which is basically like saying putting the heart in that driver's seat. And it's also what we can observe about the field and is our thoughts and beliefs about the world, about society, about how life, how the process of life works or doesn't work, whether we're disenfranchised or we are judging others rather than having discernment and compassion. And it's okay, we give ourselves grace for that, but if we could see that as the rash on our hand and not judge ourselves then, and as I was told recently, we can rebuke judgment, shame, guilt, and regret. These are pre-manifestation emotions. If we can rebuke them as we recognize them, and we can more easily recognize them when we have the space that we have given ourselves, that we established during our sacred time, and then we carry that through the day. And rather than feeling really crowded in, and we can't even observe our own thoughts and feelings, then as we do feel and we observe that judgment, regret, guilt, or shame are showing up in the experience, then we can disidentify from it. And we can observe it, and we can allow it be a messenger and keep ourselves as the creator and the one who loves the self. And so we're observing these all the time, because if we have abundance within, then we will have abundance without. And so if the experience that we are placing our awareness upon is lack, that is simply, really simply, because the inner being is asking us to heal the feelings of lack within the self, about the self. So that's one thing we could do with the mind, just a few thoughts about how to raise the vibration of the mind. And, affirmations, that is meditation as well. It's control meditation, where we're actually changing the matrix of the belief. We're actually reforming the organ of the brain when we do that. And we also do put the thinking into the heart, because the affirmations are calling love truth. And that is when the heart is brought into the thinking space. My Barnabas is coming in. All right. In the body. So the body is, it's the densest aspect of the mind, body, and spirit, right? It's the one it's the last stop. Because the non-physical precedes the physical. So we have the non-physical of the spirit, and then we also have the non-physical of the mind, but it is actually more of a thought form. So somewhere between completely non-physical and completely physical. Not that there's anything that's absolute one way or the other. But the mind is a bit more dense and more formed than the spirit, and much less formed than the physical body. And of course the emotions are all up in there too, but that's fine. I'm just looking at mind, body, spirit. So there are things that we can do with the body that are more of that kind of dense and austere way of looking at things. And so in a way that's kind of a relief, because it's like, okay, good. I just have to be a good girl then, right? Just like in school, you know what I mean? Like I got a gold star if I just did my homework. So it's a little bit like that, but we still have to come by it with the right self-love and the right acceptance of the self, and be able to find the true motivation about it, rather than doing it out of fear. You see, we have to connect it to the love rather than connecting it to a fear-based decision. I don't want to. I've gained weight, and I'm afraid if I keep going this way, then I'm going to get really unattractive and really unhealthy. It's not going to happen. That's how you go buy a pint of ice cream, honestly, because it's so depressing. That's how you say, well, I shouldn't even go on my walk or my run or my exercise class because I'm so unhealthy as it is. It's just going to be uncomfortable, and I'm going to look weird. I'm going to feel weird while I'm doing it. You see what I mean? It's just not the way to do something. The way to make those changes are to buy the healthy food because it nourishes your body and because you love your body, and your body is your sacred vessel. That's the orientation we want to have. But there are a few key things where we can actually make some commitments to cut out some big areas. And I'm going to just name a few for you. Well, there are some obvious ones, like the really obviously toxic habits that we could have on the physical level. And I don't even need to name them, but it could, the things that are, and it's not about like having dessert every now and again. And it's not about having a glass of wine. But there are some things that are just so toxic that we would do best to just find a way to lovingly have a commitment to where they're no longer part of the experience. And we could do that, you know what I mean? Like, just think about it. We didn't come up in this country. Your parents didn't raise you eating horse. And, if you, what's the difference between eating a horse or eating a cow? Philosophically speaking, they're all animals. They're all consciousnesses. They're all alive. And maybe, I don't know how maybe the one is not palatable. Maybe the horse isn't palatable, but cows are adorable, by the way. Some people think we don't eat certain animals because they're really adorable, but it doesn't, barring all of the other things around it, like, how they're treated or all of that, just the fact that if we're eating one thing or another, that it's philosophical. And the reason we don't eat horse the reason you don't eat horse now, I've never eaten horse probably, is because it was never a part of your diet as a kid. Your parents didn't condition you to that at all. Like, I have this thing because I haven't eaten fast food in, I don't know, a really, really, really long time. Part of it is because I have an extreme intolerance to it. I just can't. And so there's a bit of blessing there for me. But when someone is giving me directions in my city, and they'll be like, oh, it's by the Carl's Jr. And I'm like, I have no idea. And they're like, it's literally on the corner. To me, I don't even see the Carl's Jr. I have this weird, like, my matrix just takes it out of the picture. Or they'll be like, it's by the Applebee's, which I'm not saying Applebee's is as bad as fast food, but I would never eat there. I don't have any value, and I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it does not appeal to me at all. So I don't know I don't know this Applebee's, I don't know. So if we can eliminate it to the fact where we've really cured the addictive pull to it, and like I say, there are certain things, and by the way, fast food is one of them, and other things like the genetically modified foods, of course, smoking, and I know some people smoke things that are more natural, and I'm not talking about that necessarily. That's completely up to you, but obviously the ones that are commercially produced, the cigarettes with all of the horrible things, all of the horrible additives that they have been, exposed for, intentionally putting in there, things like that. And another one that has been brought to my attention and by a known guide, by an elemental. He asked me to make this clear and to ask a few times when I've gotten up and talked to people in some kind of forum to just cut out soda. And again, not like club soda or something that's just, very a natural kind of thing. But I do mean the commercial brands that have the high fructose corn syrup in it. Because it's explained to me, yes, the high fructose corn syrup is, and again, not to get on in a fight position, but it's the high fructose corn syrup, but it is the way that it is composed, it has this intention to it that is programming, and that is enslavement, and that is really messing with the mind and the body in a serious way that would then keep us from being connected to the spirit. And it's really an insidious kind of thing. If you have a soda habit, I imagine that it could be pretty easy just to cut out soda and not force yourself to quit smoking or not force yourself to do, you know, all of the things. Because again, we want to do it from a place of love and awareness and acceptance of the self and grace and all of that. And never do we want to punish ourselves, or even, like I said, we want to rebuke guilt if it comes into the experience. So it isn't about feeling guilty, and it isn't about separating one's self from the true self and having one of us be an authoritarian. That's not the goal. This can actually raise the vibration of the body immensely, and the mind as well, because there's some insidious programming that is happening with, it sounds so silly to say, I keep hedging it, but seriously, with soda, as well as with there are other areas that you can try to diminish or leave behind. And this is another, it may seem a little weird, I'm being very specific, but tomatoes, and I don't mean all tomatoes, I mean the commercially grown ones. And if they're not organic and if they're not local, most tomatoes that are in our grocery stores and our conventional and commercial grocery stores, they are made in Florida in sand. And I don't know if you know much about tomatoes, or sand. Sand is not a very robust thing to grow in. It doesn't hold any moisture. It's weird. So what they have to do, the environment and the chemicals that they use to make these into something that will grow are deeply toxic. The people who are desperate, and probably a lot of them immigrants, who are the workers, are horribly sick from working in that and all of this. And so something like that, only ever eating tomatoes if you know exactly where they come from and that they are, I know that organic is not all that we hope it would be, and that there's a bit of a racket to it, but it's still it's a better call. You know, it's going to be, they're probably almost certainly not going to be Florida tomatoes made in the sand with chemicals that are killing people and animals in the environment. I just wanted to give you a few practical things to take with you. And then of course, on the positive side, obviously, moving your body in a way that is exciting and joyful to you. If you like doing burpees, God bless you. I like running, I like playing tennis, and then sometimes I don't get around to that, and just taking walks, moving your body in any kind of way. And again, we don't have to force ourselves to do something that is extremely painful, but I just mentioned that because every single one of us probably is guilty of being sucked into working at the computer all day long. Obviously eating the high vibrational foods, fresh, raw, as organic as possible, you know, and a mix of colors. You know, eating intuitively, I will just feel into my body, and I'll just clear my mind and feel my body. And like right now, my heart it feels really good because I'm working with you guys, but it can also be telling that I might want some green vegetables. It's interesting. The heart chakra is green, as you know. Or if, you know, I may want something that is more grounding, like some really delicious chocolate, you know what I mean? Like an organic one that's low in sugar, only has the cocoa butter in it, because it's you know, it's rich and it's dark, and cacao has a lot of antioxidants in it, and that would be something that would be very grounding and related to the root chakra. Or perhaps I want some beets, you know, or cauliflower. You know, cauliflower is white, and so that's way up high here in the crown and the soul star. So that's one way that I kind of eat intuitively too. Spirit. Now, I kind of already covered this, how to raise the vibration of the spirit. Raising the vibration in general, I should say, because I would be told this when I first started my metaphysical journey, and I was like, well, what does that mean? What does raising the vibration mean? And well, it means identifying with love. That's basically it. Love is the highest vibration. So the way that we can do that, the way we can make that contact in the spirit, is of course that sacred time, that meditation, devotional, workshop time. And along with that, though, is other things that light up the spirit and place the attention on the spirit. You know, this is great. I hope this is great for you guys. But other podcasts, YouTube videos, books. I love having books both on on like a Kindle, because this is my iPad, but I have a Kindle app in there because they're all right there all the time. And then I also, if they have an audio version, as an audio version, because then I can listen to it as well. So those are some of my favorite things to do. It's totally okay to just put on some comedy and laugh your ass off. I mean, that's a fantastic thing to do for the spirit. So it doesn't all have to be reading Eckhart Tolle and, you know, learning about your chakras. It could be anything, or turning on the radio and singing and just raising your resonance by using your resonant center. So this is, like I say, how we activate the heart and put it in the driver's seat. Otherwise, if we have the disconnection, we don't have the activation in the heart, then even the person who is sensitive and is here with a purpose to be a way shower and a worker of light and want to raise the quotient of compassion, when we don't have that, when the vibration isn't raising, or we haven't raised it, and we don't have the connection with the heart is still purpose oriented, and so it yearns, and it's yearning to vibrate to the love and to the connection. And so what happens is it sees the pain in the world, and then that's when that sensitive nature is turned inside out, and we feel at odds with others because we feel at odds with ourselves. We feel at odds with the process of life, and we feel despair. And if we hear something like maybe we're ascending and having a new earth, it fills us with fear rather than being, you don't have to, we see the government and we say, oh, this is happening and we're all being taken advantage of. That's disenfranchisement, that's separation. That is separation consciousness. And it's all because the heart wants you to be the center of your identity, the truth of who you really are, the I am of who you are, wants to be, lest we be experiencing the separation all the time. It's always about the connection to you. And so at the end of the day, how do we raise the vibration? Is that there's always a deeper journey into the self and to love the self. To be able to look into the mirror, this always gives me the heebies, and look into your own eyes and say, I love you and I appreciate you. You are beautiful, you are wonderful, you are talented. I'm proud of you. That makes me want to cry. I'm not even looking in my own eyes, and I want to cry if I say, I am proud of you into my own eyes. It feels good, and it's supposed to. And when it hurts, it's just releasing, and that's okay too. It's just a release of the scripts that were placed in there, the scripts that we welcomed in because we thought that it would make us safe. And that's okay. That's all right. We know better now. And now we get to step out of that contrast and have the rash on the hands be healed.